It's the last episode of the first season. But what is a season as it relates to a web series where I'm forced to play video games for a chance to be resurrected? I don't know, but whatever it is, we're certainly at the beginning. Some people might say that we're on a voyage. No, not that kind of voyage. Or a quest. No, not that kind of quest. Or that one either. Or even a journey. No, not those guys. Behave. Last time we debated whether a chicken or a turtle was better, but we were just being silly. This time, we're going to compare two games. One is an adventure, and one is a crusade. We'll start with the adventure, and to commemorate the occasion, I've gone ahead and shaved my head so I can look more like Bonk from Bonks Adventure. Let's play.
So we play as Bonk, I guess. You can jump and bonk your head. We have lizards and weird samurai dudes. I appreciate that we are not restricted to 1 or 2 hit deaths as indicated by the power meter. And if you eat meat, you gather invincibility. How can you have any pudding if you won't eat your meat? Anyway, just move right. Nothing crazy. Straightforward. Now we are in the second world and it's a sand level. Reminds me of Super Mario Bros. 3 where the second world is sand themed. Not sure I like how the power meter wasn't refilled, but like I said before, at least it's not 1-hit deaths. Here we just jump over cacti, and watch out for the creeps dressed up like weird rabbits. The third level's looking different from the first two, and it has a pretty catchy song. And then we get to go inside a dinosaur's mouth to get to the next level?
We just went inside a dinosaur's mouth to get to the next level. Somebody should create a game called Joe and Mac and Bonk.
We get our first boss fight against this creepy-looking dinosaur dude. Just bash him with my head a whole bunch, and then in the next level we find out Bonk is our lord and savior and walks on water. I don't remember Goku walking on water. Later we find this trippy dinosaur. Whoa, far out. In the next level we switch from horizontal platforming to vertical ascension. It feels like Kid Icarus meets Donkey Kong Country. Then Bonk finds himself bouncing around on clouds before encountering the next boss, who's this dude who bounces all over the place like a bozo. This one was actually a bit aggravating. Next up is a water level, or water world, but not the kind with Kevin Costner, followed by the boss of World 3 who looks like Skeletor's inbred cousin brother. Personally, I prefer the next fight, with this weird dinosaur boxing dude who's got lame hair. I think it might be the illegitimate love child between Rocky Balboa and the mom dinosaur from the sitcom Dinosaurs. Hey, you gotta fight me.
I know, it's the second Dinosaurs reference this season, but you gotta love me.
Next up is a swimming section, the first we have seen like this so far, and then floating gargoyle things are coming at me. How nonchalant can I be while saying that? I mean, I guess I could have said that chalantly, or chalant-like? With chalants? Bonks Adventure is the first game in the Bonk series, however Bonk's debut was not on the good old NES. Bonks Adventure was initially released in 1989 for the PC Engine in Japan with a slightly different name, PC Genjin. The following year, Bonk made his way across the Pacific Ocean and landed on the TurboGrafx 16. The NES port did not occur until a few years later. Bonks Adventure is more than just the game itself, it's the story of how it and he came to be on the NES.
Of course, Bonk's real legacy is how much this game goes for. Be prepared to shell out a couple $100 just to get a loose copy, and even more if you want to complete in box. Luckily, the game is available virtually, so everybody has an opportunity to play it.
Back to the actual game itself so we can try to end this adventure. We go through this weird door. I'm getting an endgame feel. But isn't this the guy from before? Are we just refighting old bosses? That's exactly what's happening. Here I am fighting the third boss again. At least they give you power-ups along this boss gauntlet. But here's a new guy I haven't seen yet. I couldn't figure out how to hurt him right away, and I lost a few lives, but with some trial and error, I was able to figure out the pattern and finally beat him. And we free a red dragon baby named Princess Za? Is she pizza royalty or something? You know, a dragon-themed pizzeria actually sounds pretty cool, but wait a minute, are we flying off in a rocket thing? What's going on? Level 7-4? Did I not already beat the game? It looks like another boss. The real final boss? You know what? I think we have the real final boss. I bonkily bonk bonks bonker against the guy a whole bunch. He has 2 phases and changes colors. After I beat him, he flies off and the red dragon princess kisses me. Pepperoni kisses.
To sum it all up, it's a pretty decent game. I wouldn't say it lives up to the hype of its price tag by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm glad I was able to go on this adventure. Next up is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now, before anybody goes off in the comments about how we skipped other games in reverse chronological order to play them with the original games in the series, let me just go ahead and explain right now. There are 2 totally different games on the NES titled Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The first one was by Taito, and the second one was by Ubisoft. We'll play the Taito game later with the other IJ games, but for now, we're going to knock out the Ubisoft take on Crusade.
So this is the one made by Taito. The options include music on or off. There's a section where you can enter a code. I enter Nindevil as a code, but it's invalid. Alright, enough screwing around. Let's start the game. First level up is exploring the caves. The graphics are okay for the time, but the cave looks very poopish. We start off right away with falling hazards and some random guy throwing stuff. The animation movement is pretty good, which makes sense from Ubisoft, who also did Prince of Persia. There's a different guy, just punch him. A different guy punches harder. And then I get stuck in lava or acid or a pea pit and can't manage to get out. Exploring the caves a bit further makes me realize that the health bar can get depleted quick. Plus there's a timer, but it can be replenished. I hit the game over screen here. You can't rush it or you're going to face quick deaths from these enemies, but you can't be too slow either because of that timer. The color. Ugh, and I haven't even pointed out the fact that Indy is pink. You keep working through the level, but it's not clear where you're supposed to go. I get to this long hallway that just keeps going. I mean, where am I supposed to go? It turns out you have to find this one particular piece of treasure, and then it lets you go to the same hallway as before, but this time it takes you to a boss battle with this dude who swings a big piece of wood and makes spikes fall. You can punch him in between swings, but you have to be close enough to hit him, and if you're too close, his body automatically hurts you. Once you figure out the pattern and beat this dude, you get a level code. Within... There's a tattoo to show your mom.
We are not off to a good start here. The controls are blocky, the enemies are cheap, there's a timer, you have to fetch an item in order to move on, it isn't clear where you're supposed to go, and worst of all, Indy is pink. But you have to have darkness for the dawn to come.
After escaping from exploring the caves, we are next on a train. Too bad it isn't TMNT4. But we are punching dudes, and there's a cart of giant donuts? And we get to jump over giraffes and giant horns? The engineer, or boss, is Tonto? Indian guy? I mean, why? Oh, whatever. I'm just glad this level was a straight shot without having to explore incessantly. His pattern is shoot high, then shoot low. You just whip him a whole bunch. Oh yeah, we have the whip weapon now. And then he's down and we get another code. X5-3? The next level is exploring the catacombs. The Parisian catacombs? I don't recall them being green with burning diaper bombs. We work our way over here and there's a tablet. It says there are 3 missing pieces. Alright. The second piece is back here behind these thriller skeletons, and then, who is this guy? Sala? 'Cause he's shooting me. Jerk. We find the last two pieces with little time to spare, and the next boss is some guy who breathes fire diapers at you. Just smash him with the whip a whole bunch. Real fun. Next. Next up is an attack on a castle. I already died here a few times, so I've had a chance to explore. You'll thank me for not showing you all the idiotic jumping around I was doing. In this level we get to collect stuff, just like the first and third levels. Looks like a letter or something. The bad guys are blue, by the way, and as we find more pieces of the letter, we get more text. After finding the rest of the letter pieces, it talks about a leap of faith. If you've seen the movie, then I'm sure you know what this is referencing. The next boss is super easy. He shoots high, then low, just like the guy from level 2, but this one's incredibly weak compared to the others. I beat him in less than 20 seconds. The next level is escaping from an airship. This dude takes 1,000,000 hits, it seems, and all that just to get a key. After climbing 1,000,000,000 ladders, we whip a dude in the conference room at work for whatever reason, and then the boss looks like the office manager from your work? I mean, what happened? I thought this was the last Crusade. Sounds more like Indiana Jones and the fired employee who creates a hostile work environment. So first I shoot the work boss a bunch. I didn't even know I had a gun, and then whip him until he's done being my manager. Again, the attack pattern is the same. He shoots high, then low. It's too easy, and it's not fun. How could they do this to Indy? Speaking of which, did you notice in the bottom left corner how it says Indy? Well, there's a reason for that, and it's not just because Indy is short for Indiana.
So here's the answer. The EU release of this game was titled Indy, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, whereas the North American release dropped Indy from the title. This probably made it really easy for people to get confused as to which version of the game they were picking up, and that is all you are getting for a historical section. This one's pretty bad in case you haven't noticed so far.
The 3 trials? Is this going to be like the end of the movie? Wow, something that actually draws upon the source material. Also, the bad guys are on the green team this time. Next, we jump past the blades and fall through the H. I was actually hoping for a letter J, but the developers didn't include a J. I guess they didn't pay attention to the movie. So you walk on the correct letters and then walk across the invisible platform, and now I have to pick the cup? I'm gonna deliberately pick the wrong cup just to see what happens.
It takes me all the way back to the beginning? I guess this wasn't the last Crusade, but it's about to be!
A bunch of wasted time later.
This time I picked the correct one, and the guy calls me Indiana? How does he know my name? Go home in peace? I guess I don't get to save Sean Connery? Well, let's look at those credits. Graphics by The Chin. Is this The Chin from Hong Kong 97? Not too many people worked on this game, which kind of makes sense. But it's weird to think about a Ubisoft game that has less than a dozen people on it. I mean, these days, Rayman, Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia, Watch Dogs, these games have large groups of developers and tons of money.
Wow. Awful and awfully disappointing. Bonk wins 1,000,000 times over, and in this case, Adventure is better than Crusade. But you know what? The real MVP here is you, the viewer at home. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. I hope you'll be able to stick around as we make our way through this expedition of NES history. Hopefully there will be another season, and if so, I'll see you then. Bye!
End of season 1, is it? Time to move on to my next phase of the evil plan. Second player guy. It's time for Operation Cliffhanger.